Good afternoon. I'm Earl Butch Graves Jr., the CEO of Black Enterprise. Welcome to the first installment of the Black Enterprise Virtual Town Hall Series of 2026. For this discussion, we have convened an expert panel of accomplished professionals, including a university president, to underscore how HBCUs create the best and the brightest. As we continue to celebrate the 55th anniversary of the founding of Black Enterprise by my father, Earl Graves Sr., we remain true to our mission of elevating excellence by focusing on solutions to drive lasting economic advancement and financial empowerment. A central part of that mission is facilitating candid, solution-focused conversations with the best subject matter experts and thought leaders in business, politics, public policy, and beyond. Fittingly, all of today's speakers are also proud and accomplished alumni of HBCUs. Today's conversation goes to the heart of my father's legacy, as he was a passionate champion of HBCUs and a proud alumnus of Morgan State University. HBCUs have been the source of outstanding scholarship, professionalism, and leadership for nearly 190 years. 107 HBCUs are continuing that tradition of excellence today and producing graduates who go on to high achievement in arenas ranging from business, law, civic leadership to medicine and the arts. And with student enrollment at many HBCUs skyrocketing over the past several years, these schools continue to deliver extraordinary value as a key pipeline of top talent for corporate America. Gaining access to that talent is what drives corporations to partner with Black Enterprise for our annual Be Smart HBCU Hackathon hosted by American Airlines. Our 10th Be Smart Hackathon, held in Charlotte, North Carolina this past November, brought together more than 300 students from 43 schools to showcase their tech skills, giving them direct access to excellent jobs at top companies while creating an unmatched talent recruitment opportunity for our corporate partners. Today's virtual town hall will expand on the success and learnings of the Be Smart Hackathon by focusing on how HBCUs and corporate America can collaborate to best position students to take advantage of educational and career opportunities and succeed in today's rapidly changing workforce. We are joined in the presentation of today's virtual town hall by Toyota, a longtime and valued partner of Black Enterprise, a major investor in talent from HBCUs, and a key sponsor of the Be Smart Hackathon. Please join me in welcoming the General Manager of Business and Community Engagement at Toyota North America, Ms. Monica Womack. Immediately following Monica's remarks, our town hall discussion, moderator Ashley Stevens, host of the Black Enterprise Class in Session interview series, kicks off our conversation.
Thank you, Butch, and good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Womack, and I'm the General Manager of Business and Community Engagement at Toyota Motor North America. I am so honored to speak with you today because you represent the promise of bright futures ahead. At Toyota, we deeply believe in the impact and influence of HBCUs. These institutions do more than prepare students like yourselves for careers. They develop leaders, innovators, and problem solvers who strengthen communities and help move our workforce forward. HBCUs have long produced some of the best and brightest minds in the country, and we know that legacy continues with all of you. Now, Toyota is a car company, but we also are a mobility company, and at our core, mobility is about possibility. It means expanding access to education, investing in internships and career pathways, and helping students like yourselves turn opportunity into momentum in a rapidly changing world. We're so proud to continue this work alongside each of you as we help shape the future. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley.
Thanks to Black Enterprise CEO Butch Graves and to Monica Womack, General Manager of Business and Community Engagement at Toyota Motor North America. I'm Ashley Stevens. I'm your moderator for this exciting discussion, How HBCUs Create the Best and the Brightest. We have a thoughtful discussion today with top-notch experts to really dig into a few key topics. But first, to give you a little bit of background, if they were a company, the nation's 101 HBCUs would place in the top 50 of the nation's Fortune 500 companies in job creation. That's according to a 2024 HBCU Economic Impact Report by UNCF, which shows that HBCUs have a $16.5 billion impact on the United States, creating more than 136,000 jobs and generating $146 billion in lifetime earnings for the collective HBCU graduates of the class of 2021. A portion of the billions in lifetime earnings are generated by corporate partners who decide to invest in HBCU students as both interns, as entry-level employees who work their way up through the ranks, gaining the necessary skills to become and remain competitive. So, this special town hall session will focus on how HBCUs and corporate partners, corporate America, can best collaborate to position African American students to take full advantage of educational and career opportunities to succeed in today's rapidly changing workforce. So today we're going to explore corporate recruitment and retention of HBCU graduates, impacts of the increased HBCU enrollment and college affordability, how advanced technology and AI are revolutionizing industry, and we'll also place a spotlight on Black Enterprise's BE Smart Hackathon, a competitive coding competition for HBCU students, as well as our year-round thrust to make sure we're providing professional development and mentorship for students. So without further ado, to kick off this panel, I'd love to introduce you to our panelists for today. They are all proud HBCU alum who are making major moves in their respective professions. I'll start with Charmin Spencer, Senior Manager in Technical Quality Compliance at Toyota Motor North America, where she's worked since 2008, supporting safety and compliance across Lexus and Toyota regions in North America. She serves as a key liaison to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and leads field action efforts, including safety recalls. At Toyota, Charmin has chaired the African American Collaborative Symposium and previously led its North America Advisory Council, representing 14 chapters and more than 1,500 members. She's a proud graduate of HBCU Tennessee State University with a degree in electrical and computer engineering and is the founder of Sleeping Prince Foundation, supporting families affected by infant loss and NICU care. Welcome to Charmin Spencer. Our next panelist is Alan Williams. He's the General Manager of Customer Campaigns and Compliance at Toyota Motor North America, overseeing vehicle safety, quality compliance, and regulatory engagement with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He spent much of his career in research and development, earning multiple awards, including 5 U.S. patents and a President's Award for Chronic Issue Resolution. Alan has also served as the first chair of the African American Collaborative North American Advisory Council. He's a graduate of HBCU Prairie View A&M University with a degree in mechanical engineering and holds an MBA in technology management. Hello and welcome, Alan Williams. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Valerie Kinlock is the 15th president of Johnson C. Smith University and a proud alumna of the Charlotte, North Carolina HBCU. Since beginning her presidency in 2023, she's led efforts that have increased enrollment by 19% and nearly doubled alumni giving to nearly $2 million annually. A nationally recognized scholar and higher education leader, she was named a 2025 Aspen Ascend Fellow and previously held senior academic leadership roles at the University of Pittsburgh and The Ohio State University. With nearly 3 decades in higher education, Dr. Kinlock is known for advancing equity, student success, and community engagement. Hello and welcome to Dr. Kinlock, Charmin Spencer, and Alan Williams. Welcome to this town hall discussion on how HBCUs create the best and the brightest. Glad to have you all.
Glad to be here.
Yes,
Well, listen, I see a lot of colors and, HBCU pride going on. We got the navy and the gold. We got the blue. Brother Allen's got his blue. You are all representing your HBCUs. So you know what? I just want to find out from each of you because you hold such important positions in the professional world. But obviously in this discussion, you also come from HBCU backgrounds and legacy, and that's important. So I'll start with Dr. Kinlock. Why did you choose to attend an HBCU?
So thank you for having me. And I chose Johnson C. Smith University because it chose me. I don't think there was another choice. I grew up having educators and teachers who went to HBCUs, who understood the value having higher education centered on Black excellence and Black brilliance. I'm from a community of Black excellence and Black brilliance. Wanted to continue, and I found my way here in Charlotte, North Carolina at Johnson C. Smith University.
Awesome, awesome. Love to hear that. Charmin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well. I chose Tennessee State University because I took a tour there and I felt at home. Like most students, I went and looked at a few colleges. I am first generation college graduate, so I did not have a lot of experience from a legacy perspective. But when I went there, it was family. It was something that I had never experienced in my life. A lot of people working towards a common goal, kind of like different world for lack of better word. So I am excited that I chose Tennessee State for that reason.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. And Mr. Alan Williams.
Well, I had my choice between three HBCUs. The first one was Florida A&M. The second was Tennessee State, and the third was Prairie View A&M. I chose Prairie View A&M. Like Dr. Kinlock, I think Prairie View chose me. I went down for Spring Fest, my senior year of high school, and it was over. So I believe that my story isn't possible anywhere but Prairie View A&M University.
Got it, got it. And it's awesome to see how proud each of you are that your HBCU chose you and vice versa. I'd love to talk about, we often hear there are a lot of misconceptions and myths regarding HBCUs. Dr. Kinlock, can you tell us, especially as president, what are some of the misconceptions you hear about historically Black colleges and universities, and what do you do to combat that in your professional role?
Absolutely. That's a great question. There's so many myths and misconceptions, misunderstandings about HBCUs across this country. I think some of those myths have a lot to do with people put value on the role higher education plays in human lives by thinking that we have to go somewhere that is not historically Black, that we have to be affirmed elsewhere, that we have to have our brilliance and our intelligence acknowledged and recognized if we are in predominantly white institutions. And that is not true. As an alum of an HBCU, all of us are. We represent the best of the brightest. We talk about economic mobility, we talk about generational wealth, but we also need to talk about community and safety and well being and having a community that develops and cultivates and nurtures each and every one of us. For me, that's significant. And so some of these misconceptions, you will not get a job, you will not be employable, you will not actually reach any type of wealth, you will not be able to compete with other people. Well, I think all of us are on this call and we represent the fact that we can go to an HBCU, we can be cultivated at HBCUs, and we actually produce students who become alumni, who actually go into the world and engage in transformative work. And so we need to question and push back on these myths and misconceptions, and we need to prove that our institutions have been around for a very long time. Johnson C. Smith was founded in 1867, and it's by far a place that nurtures our young minds. And so these myths are not true, and we need to challenge and push back as often as we can.
Awesome. That's very awesome that you mentioned that, especially the fact that some folks think we can't compete or get into the workforce. Charmin, I see that might have resonated with you a bit. Did you have anything you'd like to add regarding misconceptions or myths regarding HBCUs?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I've actually been having this conversation with my current senior high school daughter. She is exploring whether she wants to attend a PWI or an HBCU. And I have explained to her in the key method of sin, self inflicted nonsense. I think sometimes culturally, we have determined that HBCUs are being culturally African American, Black, resonating with where our culture is from as negative, and that is self-inflicted. As I've been in the corporate space, quite honestly, I don't hear that perception from people who are not of color. That comes from internal. A lot of those misconceptions about not being able to get hired. And so I've been having an active conversation with my daughter about being intentional with her future, thinking about how attending an HBCU can help her. And all the points that Dr. Valerie had just mentioned are those very basic points of why going to an HBCU is the right choice, especially in these times. Right now, we're getting very far away from our history and not remembering the real reason of why our ancestors fought so hard for us to be able to have an education in general.
Got it. Very important response. Self-inflicted nonsense is something I'm going to have to personally adopt. I thank you for that, Charmin. Alan, I'm interested to know, obviously, you had options between the HBCUs that you were going to choose from, and obviously you chose Prairie View A&M. Can you tell us how your HBCU prepared you for your career at Toyota Motor North America?
Absolutely. I think it was the confidence that was instilled in me at Prairie View that I could compete with anyone. I can remember my junior year. I was in our last math class. It's called Advanced Math for Engineers. Dr. Freddie Frazier was my professor, and Dr. Frazier was big in research. And he grabbed a couple of us and said, "Hey, you guys are going to present at the National Institute of Science next year." So he pulled us to the side. We worked all summer. We did our projects. We went to compete in New York, my first time in New York at the National Institute of Science. I presented a paper. I took second place. There were over 80 entries. I took second place from Prairie View A&M University. So it was the confidence that was instilled in us by those professors. At a PWI, in many cases, you're taught by the TA. At HBCU, the PhD is teaching your class. And at Prairie View specifically, if you miss class, you will get that phone call, Mr. Williams, you need to come see me. So I think it was the confidence they instilled in us, the quality of the education, the hands-on learning just made a tremendous difference. So when I entered the workplace, I didn't have a lack of confidence or I didn't have a sense of being less than. I knew I could compete with anyone, and that was critical.
That's a big deal, being able to have the confidence and the mentorship, the leadership to know that you could compete effectively in that space. I know the competitiveness is something that Dr. Kinlock mentioned earlier, and I do want to come back to that, and I'll start with Dr. Kinlock. When we think about HBCU students, and I know Alan obviously shared his personal experience, even students in today's world where they're competing again with students from not just nationally, but globally. They're competing with computers and machines. What makes an HBCU student competitive as a candidate for employment in today's workforce? I'll start with Dr. Kinlock.
Sure, sure. Thank you for the question. I agree with my colleagues. This competitive nature at HBCUs is not just about competition, it's about collaboration. It's not just about competition, it's about connectivity. And so when we can teach young people to be collaborative and to be collective in terms of thinking about identity development, thinking about community, thinking about who do we want to become once we graduate from this historically Black college or university, then it becomes a different question about competition. We understand how to work with each other. We understand how to talk with each other. We understand that at the very core of who we are and what we do, it is caring for other people. And so, if by any chance we say we're going to have students enter into a university like Johnson C. Smith or any other HBCU, we understand that our students have to move beyond surviving to thriving. And then once they get into the workforce, they have the skills, they have the dispositions, they have the knowledges, and equally importantly, they have the wherewithal to say, I know how to ensure that opportunities are not just afforded to me, but also to my brothers and my sisters. So we lift, we climb, we lift, and we do this work collectively. It's this misunderstanding that people have that we will not be prepared. We are not going to be ready. And the reality is, we educate a great group of folks at our HBCUs who become world leaders. And we are competitive, but we have that collaborative sense. I will take care of you because I know that you're going to take care of me. And that's something that has to be stated.
Charmin, if we think about, the important work you do with Toyota Motor North America, why is it important for corporations to invest in students from HBCUs?
Great question. Great question. It's important because of diversification of thought. Whether you attend a HBCU or a PWI, I think all team members bring value to the industry, but in particular, students who go to an HBCU come with a parallel of backgrounds. Some of the challenges that they've had to overcome really help sharpen their problem solving skills, which, as a major corporation, one thing that we are doing is trying to anticipate potential problems that we may encounter and need innovative solutions. HBCU students offer that for us.
Got it. They do. They do indeed. I'd love to toss to Alan because in his work as general manager of customer campaigns and compliance, you oversee vehicle safety, quality compliance, regulatory engagement. I imagine these things, the work that you do all include elements of technology. And obviously we're in a time where there have been notable changes in the emerging tech space across the past few years. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen, Alan, regarding emerging technology and how it's impacted the work that you do? Because obviously that then in turns how you recruit and particularly students who are coming into the spaces that you're working in as well.
Yeah, I think the automotive industry as a whole is going through a major evolution. With the popularity of electric vehicles, that changes a lot of how we develop vehicles. Electric vehicles don't have transmissions. You don't have to get the oil changed. There's a lot to consider differently when developing an electric vehicle versus an internal combustion engine. So as we look at some of the skill sets we need, now we see most of our engineering students come out with some programming experience. Mechanical engineers now take classes in Python. So their ability to cross discipline in every engineering major is very important. They all come with these skills to bring to bear to solve these major problems. And the thing is, when I joined the industry, we had people who had 20, 30 years experience doing certain things. Well, now, all with the new technology, you can be in the industry for 4 years and be an expert. So, this generation really has an opportunity to take it to the next level as far as where we go as an industry and as a society.
That's right. That's interesting you mentioned that because, like we said, experience it's I don't want to say it's relative at this point, but it really is based on what you do. Like you said, emerging tech, AI, computer science, things are rapidly changing, growing. We're learning new things every single day. I'd love to know from Dr. Kinlock when we think about today's rapid technology advancement, how does that change how Johnson C. Smith University instructs students and helps them to build and grow their skills?
Well, that's the question, right? Because, when I was here as a student in 1992 to 1996, I think we were just introducing ourselves to computers at universities, not to date myself, let me stop here. But not to date myself, but we were thinking, oh my God, we have this computer and it has this large, backing to it. Whereas now everything is becoming more digitized and technology is taking over. When we talk about preparing students at HBCUs to be ready for the world, I believe that technology plays an important part. We have professors who are leading in AI. We have folks who are partnering with Johnson C. Smith and North Carolina schools to really think about how do we pair our faculty and students with other university faculty and students to really think differently about AI, about technology. Every student needs to have access. That means they need equipment and software. Every student needs to have training. Every student needs to understand the critical skills involved with reading and writing and synthesizing and interpreting are all connected to this digital revolution. But it's not just about the technology, it's the utility of technology. It's how we actually take it up, create it, and innovate in our classrooms. And so I would say our professors have a responsibility to not just do pen and paper, but also to now bring the technology into the classroom. But our students actually need to be motivated, and we need to motivate them to say, you probably know more about this than we do. So, how do we elevate your knowledge, your understandings, and teach us and have a more co constructed experience where the professor is not just the one at the front of the room, but we're shared experiences with faculty, with students, so that we are all prepared for this technological world that we're in.
That's a unique approach, Dr. Kinlock, the notion of shared responsibility, particularly in the classroom between professors and students, because we really are learning from each other, especially younger generations. I want to kind of get into a discussion that kind of leads into some of the corporate attraction and recruitment of HBCU students for specific types of roles. So I'd love to know from our Toyota team, Sharman, can you tell us some of the current initiatives that your company has to attract and recruit students, specifically HBCU students for jobs and internships?
Yes, yes. We partner with several different HBCUs. Prairie View A&M is one, where we will go and attend their career fairs. We have strategic partnerships. We provide interview skills, mentoring for different HBCUs as well. We also attend big name conferences such as NESB, where we have a lot of HBCU students who have an opportunity to come through there, and we're very intentional with how we engage with the students during those conferences, as well as we have co-op and internship programs that work specifically with local high schools, as well as HBCUs to get students in and get them some relevant experience that will help them make a decision for their long-term career. So Toyota is plugged in different facets. You mentioned when you went through my bio that I participated in our African American Collaborative. That is, for lack of better words, an HBCU within Toyota. It is a business partnering group specifically for people who associate with African American. You do not have to be a person of color to be a part of the business partnering group, but you do have to want to see the development, retention, and recruitment of those people of color. And so the AAC itself also has a lot of branches out in the STEM space where we are actively and intentionally going after young minority students to try and give them an opportunity. And as Dr. Kinlock and Allen has mentioned, partner with them and collaborate so that as we are moving through this technology space and boom, we are also growing and learning and bringing in that younger generation. So we're very intentional at Toyota.
Love to hear about the intentionality. Sharman, thank you for sharing that and about the important work that you do and some of the organizations, that you all are involved in to help recruit. Alan, I know you and Sharman and a lot of the Toyota team played a significant role as a corporate partner at Black Enterprise's 10th annual Be Smart Hackathon, which is a competitive coding competition where we recruit students from dozens of HBCUs to create a mobile app that could literally be used to improve their community. We held our last hackathon in November of 2025 in Charlotte. It was the biggest one yet, more than 300 students from more than 40 HBCUs. What really stuck out is thanks to our partners, including Toyota, having a session to talk to students about careers and how to get started in your career, also engaging with students for actual job and internship opportunities. Something that was really key in our hackathon was the value of having tech mentors. Alan, can you speak to the importance of mentorship in the professional sense for students to have someone that they can look up to either as an intern or entry level employee, specifically in the work that you do?
Yes, the simplest way I can say it is mentoring is the secret sauce. Careers move at the speed of relationships, and that most important relationship is that mentoring relationship. So it is important at every level to have someone who has been where you're trying to go. So finding those mentors, being able to connect. Charmin spoke earlier about her experience being the first in her family to go to college, first in corporate. I was also first in corporate. I'm third generation HBCU, but my family had been in education and healthcare. So when I started my first corporate job, their instructions to me were put your head down and work hard, and everything will work itself out. That was the worst advice they could ever give me in corporate. So you need to lift your head up, take up space, ask questions, be engaged. But I didn't learn that until I got a mentor. So as I go to mentor some of these students, whether it be in NASB or at these hackathons, the most important thing that they need to hear is take up space. It's not about put your head down and work hard and it'll take care of itself. No, you need to be engaged. You can have the best idea in the world. If you can't communicate it, it won't go anywhere. That's one of the beautiful things that you see at these hackathons is when they come up to present their work. And at first you see them come up and there's always one in the group that's very extroverted and will take charge. But before the end of it, you'll see the one who's really dug in and knows the details have to come forward. That's what we want to see. We've got to pull that out of our students to know that they have the ability and the capability. I'm a capital I introvert as well, but we've coined a term at Toyota being an ambivert. Sometimes you have to play an extrovert in order to get things done. So you have to learn that skill and build that muscle as well. But that all comes through mentoring. So mentoring is very, very important. It's the secret sauce to career success. Excuse me.
No, that's incredibly important. And not only, mentorship being the secret sauce, I like that, Alan, but also you encouraging students to take up space. I think that's important advice, for students entering, any workforce. That's very important. I'd love to go to Dr. Kinlock. We've heard a little bit from the Toyota team about the ways, the strides and investments they're making into student recruitment. And I'd love to know, Dr. Kinlock, from your perspective, some of the current partnerships that Johnson C. Smith University has with corporations and community partners for job recruitment for students.
Absolutely. I love to take up space as well, because I think oftentimes Black people feel like we can't take space up. So I want to thank you for saying that because we can and we should. And when we take space up, magic doesn't just happen, but it materializes into not just jobs and not just being career ready, but being better people who understand the value of using our voice. So, Alan, I want to thank you for encouraging folks to take space up. When it comes to partnerships, one of the goals that we have here, we have the golden blueprint, which is our strategic plan. Um, but also with that strategic plan comes this clarion call for us to support more students to have internships before they graduate from Johnson C. Smith University. And so those internships connect to the workforce, connect to preparing our students, but it also connects to the corporate partnerships we have at places like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Honeywell, the Hornets, the Panthers, and across various industries here in the city of Charlotte, but also beyond. And really, it's important because when we think about what students want to do, when we think about preparing students for life after an HBCU or life after college, we have to ask ourselves some serious questions. What are the jobs that exist today? But what are the jobs that we probably haven't even imagined that we need to push ourselves and our students to begin to innovate and design and develop? And then what does that look like? Going back to the technology question, how might technology help us to imagine the future that we don't currently have, but students are creating using social media and technology? So these corporate partnerships allow us to think about the future that our students might want, the future they say they're looking for, but also being able to prepare them to enter into a Toyota, because I want to partner with you all, a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, a Honeywell, or anywhere else, and be ready to perform at the highest level without being questioned. And that's really important for us.
Performing at the highest level without being questioned, that's a big deal. And it actually speaks to something I think that both Sharman and Alan touched on this earlier. And I'd love to toss this question back to Sharman. When we think about what skill sets and experiences of HBCU students, make them unique when seeking internships and job placements with corporate partners.
Yes, Ashley, if I may, can I just piggyback on Alan's question first and then I'll circle back to that one? Is that
Sure.
okay? So I wanted to maybe just add 2 points to what Alan was mentioning for mentorship. Two things. Number one, you should have a board of mentors. I think oftentimes young students, sometimes they think it's a one and done thing, and I'm going to have the same mentor forever. You should have a mentor that is your peer level. So someone that you can go to in confidence and you're struggling together, you're learning together, you're sharing ideas and collaborating. You should have one that is in your workspace, but that has done it before, as Alan was mentioning, to kind of coach and develop you through that. You should have one that is external to your organization so that you can see what the rest of the industry is doing. Maybe it's similar work, but not in your organization. And then secondly, I kind of alluded to this a little bit, but mentors don't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be a 10-year mentorship relationship. Sometimes you outgrow a mentor. Sometimes you may become their mentor. There's a thing called reverse mentoring. So give yourself grace. And as Alan said, take up space, leverage, network, make sure that you're fully maximizing all of the opportunities you can have and all the learnings you can have through other people's struggles. So I wanted to just piggyback on that.
And before you go on,
In reg-
Charmaine, can I add to that? Because
Mhm.
that's wonderful. And also mentors are the people who we might not ever think about who pour into us and who guide us. And some of the folks who are behind the scenes making the work happen on our behalves when we're not in the room. And we might never really know. And so while we're selecting mentors, we also have to be purposeful and intentional with ensuring that the people who might look like the everyday folk probably are our mentors, even if we don't know that they're talking on behalf of us, because the things that happen behind closed doors when we're not there, we need to ensure that people are in those spaces advocating on our behalf.
I like that. I actually this the topic of mentorship obviously is one that's of great importance, not just to this panel, but to the discussion overall. And I want to go right back to Dr. Kinlock when we think about, making sure that students find someone that pours into them and vice versa. Is mentorship something that's formally encouraged for JCSU students, whether they're on internships or upon graduation, seeking to enter the workforce for the first time? Is that something that's strongly encouraged, or advised from your perspective?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I came into Smith in 92, first generation college student from South Carolina, and not quite sure what a mentor was, but I knew I had people in my life who wanted better for me and who said, "You can go away and get an education." When I came here, I felt as if this was a community of mentors, from the professors who did not even have me in a class to the dorm hall residence coordinators. So when students enter Johnson C. Smith, it's intentional. It is, we need to mentor you. We need to help you understand what a mentor is and what the difference between mentoring and coaching, mentoring and advising. And it's important because most times we walk into spaces and we think we're ready and prepared, and no one has told us how we need to think about showing up and taking up space, how we need to talk, how we need to advocate for ourselves and others, and then what the opportunities are that we have. So here, I brought this with me. I'm going to always have it. Our students need mentors, and it's not just to get internships. It is because you are here and we need to make sure that we're cycling back. You mentor someone, someone mentors someone else, and we create a larger group of folks who have each other's backs. But without mentorship, as my colleagues have said here, I don't know how we break through that glass ceiling.
That's a valid point. And you mentioned, I kind of want to stay on this topic. You mentioned there's a difference between mentoring and coaching. Dr. Kinlock, tell us what that is. And then I'm going to toss to the Toyota team because, and often in my work and speaking to college students, we talk about the difference between sponsorship as well as like mentor. And I'd love to hear from our corporate partners what that means. We want to enlighten folks who are watching here. And for those who are watching us right now, feel free to engage in the chat. If you have comments, if you have questions, feel free to put those below as well. So, Dr. Kinlock, mentoring and coaching. Then Alan and Sharman, tell us a little bit about sponsorship and what that means and how students can take advantage of both opportunities.
So I'm gonna answer this question from my perspective of having been coached, having been mentored, and really trying to coach and mentor my students here on campus and other people. When I think of mentorship, I think of someone who comes into our lives, who helps to guide us, who helps to prepare us for any type of situation and opportunity, but who also is able to have those gentle and hard conversations about what we need to be doing and how we not need to show up in certain ways. So on the one hand, we can take space up, but if we're taking space up and we're not right, then that's a problem. Mentorship tells us you can take space up because you've done your research, because you know the questions to ask, you know the questions that you will be asked, you know how to engage in this, and you know how to follow up. I'm going to mentor you throughout this process. I might not always be your mentor, but I'm going to show you how I did it and how you need to do it differently than me. I'm going to tell you the questions you need to always be thinking about. But I'm also going to say, have you had lunch? Do you need to eat? Are you well? What is it that I can do beyond just preparing you for a job? I need to prepare you to make sure that you are a whole, healthy, well human being who can then get the job, keep the job, and mentor other people into the field. And coaching for me is I'm going to coach you how to do this. I'm going to coach you. It's not as deep as mentoring. Mentoring is like, I know my teachers who mentored me, and I will always remember who they are. It's something, this metaphysical thing, it's this deep connectivity. Even if we're connected and I don't see you for the next 5 years, there's a connectivity there that doesn't leave. Whereas if I'm coaching you, I'm trying to coach you to do good, to get this thing, and then let's move on. And coaching, not to minimize it, because we all need coaching. But mentorship, that's a profound thing that we can't take for granted.
Love that. Alan and Charmin sponsorship. Can you talk to us about that and how that differs from or goes hand in hand with mentorship?
Yeah, you want me to take it, Alan?
Sure.
I'll go
Go
first.
ahead.
So on the scale, as Dr. Kinlock was saying, I would say coaching is first. Coaching is that intentional, very specific to a task, a project, a process. I'm helping you to get from A to Z. I'm walking you through almost like standardized work. Mentorship, as she mentioned, I agree with, I think wholeheartedly, is more intentional. It's more personal, right? It should be a safe space where you have an opportunity to grow both professionally and personally. Sponsorship, however, especially in corporate America, is almost a blind spot. You can have sponsors that you know nothing about. They have worked with you on a project, they have heard about you or seen and know your skill set, and they are willing to say, I vouch for this person. I know what they can do. I think they are the right person for this job. Sponsorship is also very intentional. It is specific to trying to help you get from point A to point B. As I was mentioning earlier when I was talking about the 4 different type of mentors you can have in that space, that time in between, a mentor can transition to a sponsor. They can go from one to the other. One where you have that confidence, they know you, you've been working with them for 5 to 6 years, and now when you're not in the room, they are actively advocating for you. They are actively sharing with people that you've not worked with, oh, maybe this person would be good for the project. That is what sponsorship looks like to me. So I'll let Alan just build on that a little bit, but on the scale, it's trajectory.
Yeah, I think the sponsorship piece, everyone will not have an opportunity to be a sponsor. You have to achieve a certain level before being a sponsor is even relevant. Okay. Uh, those sponsors are developed through relationships. That person is putting their name on the line to put you in place. You're not going to put your name on the line for someone you don't have some relationship with. That is the skill that most students coming out of school, that's not necessarily taught in a class. You may learn it in school, but it's not taught in a class. Those relationships are very important in order to establish or even be in the consideration to being sponsored, right? So we need our students to, like I said, take up space. What does that look like? What does that mean as a new employee? We all have calendars. Get on your executive's calendar. They love talking about themselves, trust me. Hey, what do you wish someone told me when you were in my space? Set up lunch, a 30-minute talk, a coffee. That's how you start to build those relationships. And then your next step, you want to take something off their plate. Hey, is there something you need help with that I can do? It may not be in your department, it may not be in your responsibility, but if you can offer some help and then they can see your work, those types of activities transition into sponsorship. So coming in and just doing a good job, that's everybody. That's the price of entry. If you aren't producing nowadays, you will not be employed. So there's always going to take that plus alpha, that extra. That's what we want our students coming in the door understanding. That's what we try to develop through our trainee program. We transition from co-ops and interns. They come in a trainee program and they can rotate around. But we are very intentional about that mentoring and letting them know kind of the etiquette and protocol with career development. You own your career development. In order to own it, you've got to know what to do. So we try to give them uh, guidance on what that looks like instead of just saying the words, get a mentor or take up space. We try to tell them exactly what that looks like.
This is important, Alan, because and I kind of want to move in that direction too in terms of this is a panel about how HBCUs create the best and the brightest, right? And we think about wanting to prepare students holistically, not just in the classroom, but also with their soft skills, communication skills. Alan, I'll start with you, and I'd love to toss back to Dr. Kinlock. What are some of those soft skills? What should students be coming prepared with in addition to their resume? And if they're a computer engineer, their coding skills. Like, what are the other skills that you're looking for when you're recruiting students? And Dr. Kinlock, what are you looking for what are you all preparing students for as they go out into the workforce?
Yeah, what I'm looking for is that the ability to tell stories. That seems like it's something very elementary, but being able to communicate something very technical to someone who is not very technical and have them understand it is critically important in today's environment. Because generally, the person that has the responsibility of the purse strings is not a technical person. But you've got to explain to them why this investment or why this budget will be well spent with the project that you're proposing. So that art of storytelling is a skill that we like to see students work on and try to develop. Also, just the presentation skills. You have to understand that presentations are targeted towards an audience. There's no one size fits all. Depending on who you're presenting to, that presentation should look completely different. So we want students to understand that a 100-page PowerPoint is not always appropriate. Sometimes a one-page A3 with all the information in one spot is appropriate. We've got to get them on board to understand, to know their audience, and to prepare for that audience.
Got it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with Alan. And I'm trying not to jump through the screen because you said the art of storytelling, and it's about stories and it's about storytelling. If we can't tell compelling stories, and if you don't have a 30-second elevator pitch, if you meet someone and you have one shot, then if you don't take that shot and you're focused and tell that story that you need to tell that's most compelling, then you've missed an opportunity. But I also think that with critical storytelling, I need my students to know how to listen. Like, I don't want you to just hear me. I want you to know how to critically listen. Listen for the pauses, listen for the silences, listen to the story or stories I'm telling you. And then I need to be able to critically listen to you. And somewhere in that critical listening, we're going to meet in the middle, and our understandings of what we thought we knew might change. And that's the part of being able to say, this is my audience. Oh, this is my perspective. I did not ever consider that perspective. So I need to critically listen because I learned something and then I can actually process that. I need my students to interpret the word and the world. That's Paulo Freire. He tells us that I need you to know how to read and write, but I need you to know how to interpret reading the word and the world, which means that we are aware of our environment, our audience. We are aware of the dynamics in the room that are spoken and unspoken. I need my students to show up ready to learn, to listen, but also to generate knowledge back with people. So it's not a one-way street. But that storytelling is so important.
So important.
Not a one-way street. I love that. Charmin, did you have anything to add?
Yes, I'm an acronym girly. So, for the students who are watching this video, as Alan and Dr. Kenlock mentioned, storytelling is very important. So, if you want to ace that, ACE, audience, know your audience first. C is content, build your content. And then the E is engage. Audience, content, engage. You will always ace it if you follow that. So, that's all I wanted to add.
Audience, content,
Yeah.
engage. Audience, content, engage. Y'all have dropped a lot of gems. Y'all have dropped a lot of gems during this discussion. Again, for folks who are with us and hanging with us, again, this is a town hall panel, how HBCUs create the best and the brightest, with Dr. Valerie Kinlock, president of Johnson C. Smith, and our two colleagues, Alan Williams and Charmin Spencer from Toyota Motor North America. We've had a great discussion so far. And again, to folks who are watching, feel free to engage with us in the chat as well. I want to move into some numbers. And as we think about the impact that HBCUs have. A recent UNC report showed that the total economic impact of HBCUs to the nation and their local communities. So nationally, our 101 HBCUs have a $16.5 billion impact on the United States, creating more than 136,000 jobs and generating 146 billion with a B in lifetime earnings. That's for HBCU graduates as of the class of 2021. To the Toyota team, let's talk about the benefits of the economic impact that HBCUs have. And how does such data and economic impact tie into corporate recruitment and decision making?
Well, first, we like to have our workforce mirror our customer base. One of the most loyal customer bases for both the Toyota and Lexus brands are African Americans. The vice president over the Lexus brand is a Howard grad. So we take it extremely serious that uh, we want to reflect our customer base so that our customers' voices get heard in our development, in our marketing, in our products, in every aspect of what we do, because that way we can really achieve that true customer satisfaction.
I like that. I like that. Charmin?
He hit the nail on the head. That's what I was going to say as well. As I had mentioned earlier, we're very intentional about our demographics, whether that's for who is working at Toyota or who we're partnering with. So having that perspective and really understanding how do we make sure we are developing products that are friendly to our demographic is the most critical. And that translates through marketing, through vehicle design, through even our advertisements that we have out there. I'm going to plug the AAC again because one thing that Toyota does very intentionally as it relates to us and our outward brand, we make sure that we are polling and surveying, and HBCUs are a part of that. So sometimes we'll reach out and make sure, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. What do you guys think, to get that perspective?
Got it. Got it. Got it. I'm glad you were able to use an acronym again in a real life
Yes.
setting. When we think about the numbers and data, Dr. Kinlock, obviously, even specifically to the state of North Carolina, the 10 HBCUs create 1.8 billion in economic impact, producing more than 16,000 jobs and generating more than 22 billion in lifetime earnings. Again, for the class of 2021. Dr. Kinlock, in what way does job creation benefit not only the JCSU campus, but also the surrounding Charlotte community?
So, Johnson C. Smith University, we sit in the historic West End, which is, historically a Black community in Charlotte, and it's one that's being gentrified every day. When we think about our location and we think about the value of a Johnson C. Smith University education, I think what we have to do is really attend to what our community needs. What is it that our community says they want? What is it that we need to be producing? But when we think about the economic impact of this institution, not just on the historic West End, but across Charlotte and the region, we are producing students who are contributing to the workforce. We are producing students who are going to corporations and businesses in the city, in the region, but across the globe, and their earnings are high. Their experiences qualify them to be in the room and to ensure that how we think about our impact represents what we are doing at the university, and that is to cultivate minds. I think that it's important to also say, for each job that is created, it has an economic benefit. So when a graduate from JCSU enters into Charlotte or the region, it is a benefit to Charlotte economically, but it also proves the power of higher education for where our students are going and what they're doing.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the jobs that recent JCSU grads and are now working in? What fields and industries?
Absolutely. I have a Mr. Johnson C. Smith University who graduated last year, and he had an internship at one of the local banks. He now works there full time. That's that's great to be able to see internship experience turning into a full time career, a job, a profession. And so that's one example. We have so many alumni from JCSU who work in higher education. I'm not the only presidents who have graduated from this university and become a university president. Someone who was in the class of 1995, graduated, became a university president at multiple universities, and is contributing to higher education. We also have people who continue to, think about the value of higher education on corporate America, but then who decide to go back and get a master's degree or a PhD or an EDD or a medical degree or a JD, and they're working in their professions. And so I'm just excited to see what JCSU education does for people and how it elevates people out of a certain socioeconomic positioning, and it propels an entire community. One person graduating from an HBCU contributes astronomically to the redevelopment and reimagination of an entire family and then an entire community, nation, and then world. And it's beautiful to know that our HBCUs have that type of impact across the world.
That's important. You mentioned that, how social, upward economic mobility, the impacts from, finishing at an HBCU and kind of what students contribute to their communities. This question is for Alan and also for Charmin. I want to talk about HBCU legacy. We think about, family and the promoting HBCUs and their value. Talk to me, Alan, about, you chose an HBCU. But is it also the case that there are some family members of yours that intentionally chose an HBCU as well, and why?
Hey, my wife is a graduate of Xavier University of Louisiana. She has her doctorate degree. She's a professor at Texas Christian University now. Both of our sons are HBCU graduates. Our oldest graduated from Texas Southern University. He's in his second position as a finance major. He's working at Comerica Bank downtown Dallas now, completely out of my pocket, class of 21. Our youngest son rather, is a graduate of Prairie View A&M University, class of 22. He was the only African American male in his dental school class at Texas A&M. He is in his third year. He will be graduating next year. He is thinking about specializing and becoming a periodontist. So uh, he didn't come out of University of Texas Austin. He didn't come out of Texas A&M. He came out of Prairie View, and he was the only one. And he's being very successful in that program. So you see this picture over my right hand shoulder. Those are my line brothers. I'm gonna brag on them a little bit. So I've got a line brother that works across the street from us at Frito-Lay. He's a vice president of procurement. I've got a line brother who's works a couple of miles down the street, who's a plant manager at Texas Instruments. I've got one a couple of 100 miles south at University of Texas at Austin, who's the director of the biomedical engineering program at University of Texas. I've got another one that's in Virginia, who's a burn specialist, surgeon. Another one that's in Kimball, who is a principal. And then I've got one who's in Indianapolis, who is the head of VC for Caterpillar. So when we talk about data points, I've got plenty of data points for you.
So can I
You
ask
really do.
what
You have
finance
living
are you
legacy
talking?
and the value of HBCUs being the best and the brightest all around you, all around you, all around you. I love to hear that.
Can you
Listen,
tell me
as
what
we're going to wrap our
fraternity you're
discussion
talking about?
soon,
Can I get
uh,
that fraternity name?
sure.
Oh,
Yep.
that's Alpha Phi Alpha,
I
the one
know
and the
that's
only, the
right.
oldest and the coldest. You better ask somebody.
I don't
I'm
need to
I
telling you.
love
ask
it,
Oh,
my
Fred. I
brother.
don't need to ask Fred.
there we go. There we go. And, oh, let me brag on my ace. My ace is a psychiatrist. His daughter is at Toyota now. She graduated Prairie View last May. She's at Toyota now. One of the proudest moments I had last August was going to lunch. There were 7 of us, all Prairie View grads, at Toyota, um, having lunch together. I sent that picture to President LeGrand and our Dean of the College of Engineering, Pamela Obiomon, and they love it. And they're great partners with us, so we're going to keep it moving forward.
I'll
Love it.
just add my daughter recently graduated in December, so I am officially a legacy mom from
Yes.
Tennessee State University. My husband also attended Tennessee State University. That is where we met. So I won't go through all my line sisters because I have 60 of them, but we have plenty of data points, as Alan mentioned. It's a feeling that because I'm first generation college, I didn't know I needed being fulfilled through my career. I didn't know that I was missing this legacy piece until I watched my daughter get her degree. She's pre-law, so she is planning to attend, hopefully, Howard. That is her number one school, so she's going to try and continue through HBCUs. I am talking, as I mentioned, to my 17-year-old about continuing the legacy. It's important. It's important. To the students who are watching this, you have your entire life to be a minority. Go to an HBCU, get the culture, get the degree, and then go out into the workforce. You don't have to rush it.
I'm gonna name that sorority. What's that sorority?
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority
I
Incorporated.
you know what? You better do that incorporated. All right. I'm just gonna say, let me just put this out there since we done entered sorority and fraternity world, okay?
Uh,
You know,
So
she had me fooled with the pink and green flowers. I thought that I was talking to
I
my
was
own.
wondering.
You know, and
I thought so too. I thought she was gonna be my soror here. But listen, I love this because what we haven't talked about is what you two just talked about: the value of fraternities and sororities, and at any university, but at HBCUs. I mean, I was on a line with 16 people, and my sorors are engaging in wonderful work. And it's not just about being an AKA, which I am. Let me just be clear, so no confusion here. It is about a community of Divine Nine. It's about a
yeah.
large community of people who are doing amazing work in the world. And for me, I can't imagine having become an HBCU president, becoming not a Delta. Let me be clear with your pink and green flowers, but becoming a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha anywhere else. And it is the beauty of being at an HBCU. I am loving this conversation. I'm going to stop there before I go and say
uh,
my ski here.
listen, I love it as well. I love the camaraderie. And again, I think to students, it's been important. I hope that students are taking a lot from this conversation. Again, to everyone who's watching, be sure to engage in the chat and write down your favorite gems from our panelists. As we wrap, I just want to talk about, we talk about HBCUs creating the best and the brightest, and that takes investment. And, as we've seen recently, there have been an influx of major private donations to HBCUs. As we know, philanthropist Mackenzie Scott has given more than $1 billion to HBCUs just in 2025 alone. And she's done much more than that over the years. As we wrap, I want to ask each of our panelists from a corporate perspective and then from an institutional perspective, what do these investments and what does this, the thought of private philanthropy and also corporate partnership, what do these investments say about the value of HBCUs? I'll start with Sharman, Allen, and then Dr. Kinlock.
It's simple. The investment says it's important. So, for all of you who may be graduating, invest back in your HBCU. We don't talk about it enough in our culture, giving back to our school. Make sure you're doing that. To the corporations watching, make sure you're investing in HBCUs. And to the philanthropists who have extra money, make sure you are investing in HBCUs because they are important. And that's what it means.
Love it.
These donations enable us to give scholarships. I went to Prairie View on a full scholarship. Without that scholarship, I may not be sitting here. So it is important to me to give back, not only because what was given to me, but to make sure that next generation, we afford them the same opportunities. Mackenzie Scott gave Prairie View over $50 million. That that all happened when my kids were in school. I saw the impact that it had on some of their classmates who were on the cusp of having to go home for something as small as $800. So we have to invest as well as these corporate donations because I know that the return that Toyota gets from my work well exceeds what they pay me. So if we want to continue that moving forward, we have to make these critical investments.
Super important. Thank you, Allen. And Dr. Kinlock.
So, I would say here at Johnson C. Smith University, in the fall of 2025, we started a campaign, a bold and robust initiative to think about how we are better together. And hence the name of our campaign is Better Together. It is a fundraising effort to attempt to increase our unrestricted giving to the university so that we can do the things that my colleagues have talked about. We need to invest in scholarships for students. Majority of my students here are first generation college students, and we need to support them. There is no reason why a student should have to leave if they have an $800 balance or if they cannot get financially cleared and they owe $10,000. Regardless of the cost, we need to support our students. And so for scholarships, for deferred maintenance and infrastructure and capital improvement projects, our institutions are old. I mean, we were founded in 1867. And so when we think about our structure, we think about our conditions, we are competing against other universities that have higher endowments And that return on investment from those higher endowments allow them to do work and capital improvements that we have not been able to do. So why give back to your institution and HBCU in particular? Look at what our economic impact is. We are producing students who we might be struggling to get across the finish line, but we get across the finish line. And we produce students who not only get across the finish line, but who are resilient in doing so. And who, as I said earlier, they're going to take other people along with them. So I want to encourage everyone to give back. Nothing is too small. Invest and have that philanthropic mindset, because I know I would not be here as president of Johnson C. Smith University with 3 degrees if it were not for scholarships and people believing in me. So we have a moral and ethical responsibility to be better together.
To be better together. Love those closing words from Dr. Valerie Kinlock. To my panelists, thank you so much. To Alan Williams, Sharman Spencer, Dr. Valerie Kinlock, thank you all for engaging in this important discussion. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We had a fantastic time. And again, to everyone who's watching, again, feel free to share this town hall with family, friends, colleagues, particularly the HBCU students, professors, alum in your life, to find out what it means and what it takes to be a part of the best and the brightest for corporate recruitment. Again, thank you to Toyota for hosting today's session. Again, we hope that you gained and gleaned a lot from it. Stay posted, again, on the latest and greatest on all that's happening with Black Enterprise, our upcoming Women of Power Summit, and so much more at blackenterprise.com. You can also stay posted on all of our social media channels. And again, thanks to our panelists. Thanks to you all for watching. And be sure to invest in the life of a young person, because HBCUs truly create